One of my favorite parts of the way you do your act, you talk in a mile a minute like that, and all of a sudden you'll go, Mistah!
I've always done that. That's always been part of my act.
Do you remember how that you
I
started
have
doing
no
it?
idea how it evolved or how it occurred to me to do it. Most of my act in general, I have no idea about how I evolve my act. I do it on instinct. If I went to school, I'd probably find out I'm doing everything wrong.
Ever had anybody tell you that you have to lose your accent and you'll never make it in show business?
Only Jews told me this, and Jews have told me this all my life. Even right now, I just went to the Queen of England and I performed at the Royal Command performance. I don't know if you heard about it, a couple of months ago for the Queen of England. And I was literally a sensation there, if I have to say so myself. And the Queen of England was bowing to me and thanking me and telling me how great I was. When I came back to Brooklyn to do a show, all I heard is, he's a little too Jewish. Jews have always been embarrassed by a Jewish accent and a Jewish personality, because it always reminds them of being refugees or being poverty-stricken, or the old days of the parents and the grandparents coming from Russia, misery, poverty, rejection, and then they try to struggle their way out of it by becoming successful. And one of the ways of becoming successful is to talk a better English and to sound like you belong in this country by talking perfectly. And grammar and sound and speech is important to a guy feeling he's successful. And all of a sudden, when he feels he escaped his origins and the poverty and the misery of the old refugee days, and now he sounds like a perfect American, he joins a Gentile country club, he goes to Hollywood, he becomes a producer, he makes sure that he talks only to tall shiksas, he hardly says hello to another Jew, and all of a sudden I show up. Now he feels like he's back where he started from, and he gets nauseous. And that's exactly what happens to a lot of Jews who hear me talk. They find themselves either embarrassed by it or nauseated with it. For every Jew that could enjoy me, there's another Jew that gets sick. And I was never born in Europe. I come from a family that all came from Europe. I was the first one in my family born in this country. I studied to be a rabbi, and I became a rabbi, and I practiced as a rabbi, and I only heard Yiddish spoken in my family as a kid. And I always wound up with this Jewish type of an accent.
You've had several high points in your career. What would you consider to be the lowest point in your career?
Well, I would say there was about 20 years of a low point in my career. Because the whole 20 years or 25 years since the Ed Sullivan incident, my career was not moving up. It wasn't moving down or out, but it wasn't moving up. It stayed on some kind of a general semi-star level.
Did you wake up every day just cursing Ed Sullivan for what he had done to you?
No, because I never blamed Ed Sullivan. I always felt that he was sincere, and he really thought I made a dirty gesture at him. He really believed it, and if he really believed it, he didn't do it out of anti-Semitism. He wasn't trying to get even with me because I'm Jewish, or because I'm short, or because I have an accent, or because he hated me personally. He did it because he really thought I made a filthy gesture at him. As stupid as that sounds, because I'm not the type to ever make a filthy gesture, even to this day, 25 years later, when the whole world is full of filthy gestures, I wouldn't do it now. So why would I have done it 25 years ago when I didn't even know what it meant?
Are you a happy person?
I wouldn't say I'm deliriously happy, but I'm basically feel very lucky, and I feel like life has been a blessing to me even when I wasn't doing so well. You're living a good life, and you should thank God for what you got. And that's what I kept saying to myself every time I felt restless or a little unhappy. I kept saying to myself, look how lucky you are with $500,000 a year. Look how lucky you are that you don't have to suffer or pass away from misery or ill health. You ought to thank God for what you got, and don't make yourself uncomfortable because you created an ego trip that's irrelevant to anything honest or real in this world. It's an invented ego trip that means basically nothing in terms of life itself. A person's life should mean more than the ego trip. You should enjoy the trip of life, not just the goals of life. People are miserable who create a goal for themselves, and then they're suffering about that goal to such an extent they never enjoy life. And all they live for is that goal. The goal might happen 5 years from now or never happen. So what does that mean? That you should destroy yourself because a goal is more important? Your life only has a certain number of years to it. The only thing you should do, if you have any intelligence, is enjoy it. If you're not enjoying your life because you're thinking about something so elusive and something so meaningless as an ego trip, then you're an idiot.